gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Bees Cast, presented by Fieldwork. Casey Pratt here with assistant GM Tyler Petersen. Tyler, we have a whole lot of stuff to talk about today. Lots of different comings, some goings, but again, the hot stove is heating up here for the Pioneer Baseball League.
Yes, and it's an induction cooktop as well, so it heats up very fast. And when you said children of all ages, that does, in fact, include me. So,
I, despite my appearance sometimes, am way older than I look, and Tyler is much younger than me, so I guess he is then a children of all ages. I'll give you that one. I think that's a good thing. If I shave, I look like a baby, though, so fun fact.
I don't think I've ever seen you clean shaven.
I did it like one time a year or so ago, and my wife immediately said, "Grow that beard back. What are you doing?"
Well, if she says it, you got to do it. So
yeah, I had to listen. I believe she said beards are like push-up bras for men or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she said, but that's what she said. We're going to start the show with some big news for the Oakland Ballers. I love when we re-sign guys that were on the team because we're champions of the world, and it's great to have these guys back. But I was particularly excited to see Nick Leahy back. Nick Leahy, great guy, man the hot corner. Just seemed like he came up with huge hits in big opportune times. Tyler, tell me a little bit about Nick Leahy's return and what led to him re-signing with the Oakland Ballers and what we can expect in the future.
yeah, well, as I've said before, when we gave out our initial set of contracts in our re-sign period, we only sent out about 6 to 8. I forget exactly how many it was, and it was very targeted signings for guys that we thought their best opportunity was to come back here next. Nick is a guy who, think back to our first series, defense, not great. Something like 16 unearned runs against the Raptors. So Nick came in right after that first series as a new guy, quote unquote, and as a guy to really solid up that hot corner. And as it turns out, he had a career year in terms of his power. Now, he played at UC Davis, which, if you've been around the team and you've seen that field with the YOLO high wheelers, it is a cavernous outfield. It is deep. So Nick putting up not just amateur high, career highs, pro or college, in the extra bases and home runs department. Probably not a big surprise because of the field he played on, but he really took a big step forward in his pro career. And he's going to have a big opportunity next year now with us, and we certainly hope to see him progress even more.
Yeah, and I remember early on in the season, spring training, early season games, and looking at the infield and thinking, oh boy, we are going to have a lot of errors. And that's really not what ended up happening. Everything solidified in a really good way. Nick Leahy, a big part of that. Obviously, Tremaine Cobb Jr., amazing defender at shortstop. But that did straighten itself out, and I guess I would have to give Nick Leahy a lot of credit for that, right, Tyler?
Well, yes, and it also goes to what our team philosophy is. When we had the fewest cuts of any Pioneer League team in 2025, and we either had the fewest or second fewest in 2024, we are certainly a team that wants to win, we do. So, but the part of that we really hold on to that some other teams may not is we are very patient with our players. So you saw Cam Buford at third, you saw Davis Druick at third. It was not these guys can't play, we need to move on from them. It's, well, let's find out what is their best role. So you saw Druick play a lot of center. You saw Cam go to DH and then spell Almanza at first. You saw that bat had to be in the lineup. Davis Druick's bat had to be in that lineup for a long time as well. It's about finding the right position for everyone. Danny, from game 1 to game 96, was an entirely different athlete. I think about the great diving catch he made very, very late in the season up the middle. And that's a guy who had a whole year off because of, I think, a torn labrum. So we know these guys all have talent. It's just about development. And so for our philosophy, when we bring guys in, we want guys that we know have talent and that we're willing to be patient on. Now, Nick whether it's his own talent or a little bit of urgency for everyone else to say, oh, this guy is really slick. We know what he's got. Bring in guys like Allgaier, guys who we can say, okay, we want these dudes in here. We want to be able to bring in Nick or Jake late in the game. We want to put Bugs in center late in the game. Whatever it might be. It all goes into kind of the full ecosystem of how a team is built.
Yeah, and to echo your point, Davis Druick, who got moved to the outfield, ended up making probably two of the biggest defensive plays in the year in the same game when it mattered the most.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those guys are absolutely put in positions to succeed. Instead of cutting bait, you figure out what works for them, and that is fantastic. I would like to mention, if you're watching this right now, you can comment. We will take your questions. We will put your comments on the screen. So feel free to jump into the comments. Don't be shy as we talk about some comings and some goings with the Oakland Ballers here on Bees Cast, presented by Field Work. And I can't help but go down this road because, Nick Leahy wore 23. Allgaier wore 13. They both played third base. They both looked very similar. Are you sure you actually signed Leahy and not Allgaier on accident?
Well, there's no way of knowing.
No.
We certainly hope we have, but there really is no way of knowing. The smart thing for us to be is to sign them both, and then for them to come and just say their names, so we know exactly. We should actually, I think, maybe just put a sticker on one, just so we know who's who.
like in The Office, the Benihana episode. Yeah, that actually would be a good thing, and that is a joke kind of internally within the organization. A lot of people, especially if you hadn't been around the team a lot, could not tell Leahy or Allgaier apart, which was quite hilarious, and something that I don't think those guys really liked as much as we did. I think we thought that was a lot funnier than maybe it really was. Let me ask you this.
We didn't exactly ask for permission on that one, did we?
No, not really. 6 to 8 guys you said you were identifying, looking to offer contracts to. If I run down the list off the top of my head, I'm thinking Isai Santos is back, Nick Leahy's back, Gabe Tanner's back, we got TJ McKenzie back. Am I forgetting anybody else? Who else is anyone else we're looking at trying to bring back here?
We have, I think, 2 of those re-signed contracts still out. I put one of them at about a 50-50, and then I think the other one is more of a let's see what happens till March. There are 2 guys we offered that we know aren't coming back, and I think we're about to get to that fairly soon.
Yeah, we will get to that. It is unfortunate that we do have one big guy that will not be coming back. We'll talk about that in a second, and we obviously know Cam Buford is also signed elsewhere. But let's talk more about people that are coming to the Ballers. Just yesterday, we announced the addition of catcher Parker Stroh. Could you tell me a little bit about Parker, how we found him, what to expect from him, and then we can also get to what that means for the catching corps in a little bit.
Well, right now he's the only catcher in camp as it is signed. He's from Grand Forks, North Dakota, which happens to be the same town that Connor Richardson is from. He played last 2 seasons off and on in the American Association with the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks, which is sort of his hometown team, and the Lincoln Salt Dogs. So I believe he logged somewhere around 70 games worth of catching in those 2 years. So that tells you a little bit about his catching ability if he is catching former major leaguers and catching for coaches who are well respected in those leagues. So he's coming in. He's a left-handed bat, and a left-handed catcher is something that we wanted to target. You may see another one potentially before the season begins. And if Tyler Lozano does come back, then we could have a lefty catcher and a righty catcher. As it happens, we had 2 right-handed catchers last year. That worked out extremely well for us. Yes. So do not get married to your plans very much because anything can happen. As we saw, we had over, I want to say, about 110 RBI from the catching position last year, which of course we love. But Parker Stroh should come in and give a pretty good, I think I like to think of it the same way when we signed Colton Horner. We brought Colton Horner in because we knew when he came in that he could give us a good game behind the plates. Parker's bat never really showed in the American Association. It did in college a little bit. And I must say, we are adding yet another McNeese State baseball player, which is something we have not done in a year. But after having 4 of them in 2024, it is time to have another one.
That's interesting. And I'm looking at the chat now. That's why my eyes are darting around. And a lot of people are commenting, Lou Helmick, and want to know about Lozano and Lou and Sully. And I know we'll get to those types of conversations here in just a sec. But, I thought it was interesting when we announced Parker Stroh signing, Lou jumped in and commented. And it seemed like he got a lot of love in the comments. So is this a guy that knows a lot of our Ballers players or has interacted with a lot of our Ballers players? Do you know?
Well, Lou Helmick was in camp with the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks, so yeah. I am sure the two of them had at least spent spring training together, if not more. So I would not be surprised at all to see Parker know Lou. There could be some mutual connections with McNeese State, but the fun thing about these matchups in the Pioneer League sometimes, and I think about it most last year between YOLO and Oakland, is those two teams took heavily from the draft league. So you had these guys who were playing together, played against each other, and were doing the same thing in just a different setting. So even last year, look at a guy like Jake Allgaier. Well, he would have either played with or against Adam Bogosian, Cam Buford, Trey Cobb, Darryl Buggs in the draft league. So there's really, as we like to say in most industries, it's a very small world. And that's why in baseball, if you're a good guy, you have someone who can vouch for that. If you're not very good in the clubhouse, you probably have a lot of guys who can vouch for that. And so when we do go through our progressions in the offseason and we try to identify players, we will talk to former college coaches, former teammates, anyone who can have any kind of say, is this guy a good defender? Was he the best player on your team? Was he a goofball in the clubhouse? Was he a nice guy? Whatever it is, one of the things Don has been very good about all these years is making sure we bring in the right kind of guys. Never mind the talent. So that is very much still part of our philosophy.
Yeah, and the track record shows playoffs first year, championship second year, identifying the right guys. And frankly, it's so rare to be around a team like the Ballers had last year where there's just like very little, if not any, drama, and all the guys really seem to get along, and it really was a very good group right all the way from the beginning until the championship. And so I think that maybe has a lot to do with Tyler Lozano and his leadership, and the signing of Parker Stroh doesn't necessarily mean Tyler Lozano will not be back, as you mentioned. I would presume maybe it means Dylan Tatum probably will not be back, but Dylan Tatum had a monster year, and my hope for him is that he gets picked up and gets back in affiliate ball and does amazing things, because he was just unbelievably talented and great to have around. But where do you kind of land on the potential of Tilo returning and maybe the future Tatum? I'll let you take it either way.
Well, Dylan's easy one. He's timed out. So unless we were able to use a franchise tag on him, he can't play for us next year. The same can be said for Reed Butts. He's timed out as well, so he's not coming back. And then one other player, Malik Binns. Malik Binns cannot come back. He is timed out as well. As far as Tilo, I believe that ball is in his court, whether he wants to keep playing or not. If he does, we have a pretty good feeling that it's going to be with us. And as far as we are going through our off season, we'd love to know, sooner or later, because then that would tell us if we do need to find another catcher, because we'd like to come to camp with at least 3, if not 4. Evan Leibel, of course, was the third catcher in camp with us last year, and Bradley Preop, who was never officially assigned, was also in camp with us. So we did have 4 catchers in camp. And it's one of the most important positions you can have in a spring training, because you're going to want those guys to take at bats. You got to have guys catch in games, and then you also have to have guys catch bullpens. So we do want to have a good amount of catchers in camp, and certainly a guy like Tilo is a leader for us, and we definitely would love to have him back if that's something he wants to do.
No, I know the time will come where Tilo is also timed out, but I frankly just can't even imagine the Ballers without Tyler Lozano. He's just going to go down as an all-time great, if not the greatest Oakland baller ever one day. I hope he is back next season. There's a question about Reed Butts, that you've just answered already because he is timed out. But you know what I think would actually be interesting is tell us a little bit about how the franchise player situation works for the Oakland Ballers, because you can have a franchise player. You can also have a marketing exemption player. So maybe just explain how some of those things work, because if you're new to Pioneer League Baseball, like frankly pretty much every Oakland Ballers fan is, I think there are some things that we would probably benefit from knowing about the franchise player and the marketing exemption and things like that.
So the franchise player is an exception to the league's eligibility rules, and that allows us to take one player, and as it's written, it's supposed to be a player who has played at least 1 year for you, and that year had to have been the most recent year. So he can stay for another year as a guy who's otherwise timed out. We did have a franchise player our first year. That was Dondre Hubbard, and we got a special exemption because we had no players before, and Dondre did have ties to the area. He started his pro career here with the Sonoma Stompers. So for him to sort of come back here and start his Ballers career here, we thought that was a lot of fun. And he was a fantastic player as well. And he had played in this league, which I think was kind of part of the requirement as well. So if we were to have a franchise player, it would have to be someone who did play for us, which narrows it down to, I think, 3. Connor Richardson, I don't think is timed out per se. I think he could potentially have 1 more year left. But we're really not in the business of using that tag, just because for the kind of progression we want our players to go along, it does not make a ton of sense for them to stay for what otherwise would be a 4th year here. Now, if it's just sort of a, hey, my career's over, I want to just stay local, I want to play, that probably would be more the version that we would use, which is still kind of against the way we usually do things. But the marketing exemption player is something completely different, which is literally our opportunity to sign whoever we want, whether they're a baseball player or not, to kind of appear at the stadium, put on some Ballers gear, and play for us for up to 2 games a month. So when I was with the Rocky Mountain Vibes, we had Ryan Lavarnway, former A's player, former Red Sox player, former 8 or 9 team player. And Ryan was working with us at the time in the broadcast booth. He worked for the Rockies for a little bit, and he was just gearing up to go captain Team Israel. And so we used him as a marketing exemption for a couple of games, caught for us. So if we wanted to, say, have, Chris Davis or Cliff Pennington or, some former A come out and play with the Ballers for 2 days and then sign some autographs, or sort of your Bill Murray, your Will Ferrell, the kind of thing, you could kind of do something like that. So the league allows that because we're a professional club, we're also family entertainment, you balance the two, and so it's just, since we can't have fireworks nights, we can do something else that's a little bit fun.
Yeah, my push right now is for Brandon Pajemski, who is on the Golden State Warriors and just said he could be the white Shohei Ohtani. So I was like, you know what, Brandon, if you want, you got a place for you.
He played baseball at Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Do not forget. So did Russell Wilson. So did Colin Kaepernick. I mean, there's a ton of guys in other sports that played baseball at some time. So, Dave, I bet you still have it. I don't know how down the Warriors would be for that. But if you want to throw...
I would probably not let him, but I'm going to try. You got to try, right? Shout out Nevada Cullen, who just texted me that my audio was a little low, so I cranked up my mic. So if you're in the comments, let me know. Does my mic sound better or not? Tyler, fantastic job this year. Congrats. Now that the team is better known, have you seen a difference in player interest?
It's a really good question. The other version of that I have got is, since we won the championship, have we seen player interest? I'm going to ignore the term interest for a second. Recognition, yes, we do definitely have recognition, because now I can approach someone and say, we're the Oakland Ballers, like, here's who we are. This is our offer, blah, 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 blah. We can start that conversation right away. There is no, what is this, who are you kind of deal. So yes, at the core of your question, yes. And especially for players who have played in this league, there of course is great interest in us because they have played in our stadium, they have played in front of our fans, they want that experience. And so we have seen conversations with players who are now free agents from other teams, who when we tell them, hey, we have interest in you, they would say, okay, like, yeah, let's have that conversation. The one difference being that I have not seen a big jump from interest just because we win the championship. Players still want to know, what can you do for me as far as my Major League Baseball goals? And for a lot of players, that is still going to be the be-all, end-all. And even for some of our players who have left us, they are looking for still the best opportunity to further their careers. After all, I mean, Casey, they have achieved probably as good as anything they can achieve with a championship with us. So I think for a lot of guys who leave us this year, it's, I've done this thing, I've gotten to the pinnacle of what I can achieve at this team, I got to find what's next.
Yeah, that's a great segue. I will segue that right into the signing of Noah Milliken, who's joining a team in Winnipeg in the American Association. And you know what, before I go fully down that road, I just want to comment on something you said about basically recognition with the Oakland Ballers, because we were at the Loyal to My Soil golf tournament just 2 days ago, and the amount of former big leaguers that came up to the Ballers tent and trophy on hole 7 and were like, yeah, Ballers, like, I cannot believe I haven't been out there, like, I got to get out there. Like Dontrell Willis, for example, was like, dude, I'm there next season, I can't wait, I love what you're doing. There was so much interest and so much recognition from so many big name players that it was really heartening. But Noah Milliken is on his way to Winnipeg to join an American Association team. We will tell you in just a second. How's this for a tease? Another Baller player is also following him there that has not been announced yet, but we're going to break it here. But Tyler, Noah, an amazing pitcher for us, an all-star for us. I would say the best pitcher in the Pioneer League, even though he didn't get that actual recognition. Absolutely dominated. Great guy, local guy from Berkeley. Had a blast at the parade and everything, but had said up front that he is moving on after this season. So tell me a little bit about Noah's decision and where he's heading.
So he's heading to the Winnipeg Goldeyes, which is a good program in the American Association. They actually have former baller Derek Cherry on that team too. They do a pretty good job of moving their guys on, up, and out. And the Canadian clubs, Winnipeg, and then for the Frontier League, Quebec, Ottawa, they have the ability to get a lot more different kind of players than we do because their visa process is much easier. So Milky is going to have to go through that process to go to Canada. Their recruiting is very good recruiting, is what I'm trying to say. So they have a ton of different nationalities to pick from, and they've gone after Noah Milliken because of what he has been able to do in the Pioneer League. He was the best starter after he came into the league. He didn't win the pitching award. That went to Matthew Sox, who had a great year. But I would say that from the time Milliken came into the league, he was the best starter of any. And we know that firsthand.
Yeah.
So he is going to Winnipeg to challenge himself. American Association, for those of you, a reminder, is a league that I would consider more of a double A to what maybe our A would be. And it should be a place where he should get a good opportunity. And we will see how he performs. An amazing year with us. I don't think he should have any interest or any problems with making the jump. Oh, we will take good care of Noah in Winnipeg. We have a
Yeah, look at that.
a local. Thank you so much, Darren. But I mean, a guy who fought for his chance, got his chance, and then never let go of it, and had that amazing year. And he was just fighting for anyone to give him that shot. We gave him that shot. It's always easier for us to give the local guys a shot. a guy who literally might actually be one block from me right now in my house in Berkeley, because I know where he lives. He lives one block from me. But we congratulate Noah. He reached out to us. He reached out to me. He reached out to Don, and thanked all of us. And we're happy to see him go to Winnipeg. And when these teams reach out, they do reach out to us, and they want to know what kind of players they are. The same that we would reach out to a college coach or a draft league coach and ask about these players. We want to see these guys move on and move as close to that big league dream as they can get. And if Noah thinks it's in the American Association, then we will help him do that.
Yeah, Milliken, unbelievable year. Many post-game interviews as player of the game, and one of my favorite things ever was watching Michael O'Hara listen to Noah Milliken talk and doing the milkman gesture, like he was milking a cow the whole time. Noah, affectionately known as the milkman, was an absolute beast for the Ballers this season, and we congratulate him. It is frustrating, though, to see like a baller go from our team to the American Association, which is like a marginal step up, especially when it's farther away from home. Like when we talked about Cam Buford, it was like, all right, he's going closer to home. Noah's going pretty far away, so it's going to be an interesting decision, and I hope it works out for him, and I'm sure it will, because he's amazing. They emailed me and asked for a bunch of pictures of him actually for the release, and it was a week or two ago. I sent him all the pictures of Noah, and then I was like, P.S. I hate you for stealing Noah. So I already have a rivalry started with the Winnipeg team. And then they emailed me again, Tyler, because they said they needed pictures of one James Collier, who appears to be also heading to Winnipeg. So maybe tell me a little bit about James as well and his track.
Yeah, I don't think Winnipeg has announced that transaction yet, but I did receive a call from James. I also received a call from his agent, and they both informed me that James is going to sign with Winnipeg. We knew that James was not going to sign back with us in the next couple of months. If he did sign back with us, it would have been in probably March. So we were not on any kind of lookout for James in the moment. But it seems that he's made his decision early. And, to go with one of your teammates makes maybe the transition a little bit easier as well. Whether they both thought of that or not, I can definitely tell you that Winnipeg, as Sioux City has done, has looked through our roster and went, I want that guy, I want that guy, I want that guy. And
which is, listen, to choose from too.
which is how we built our team. We're going to be a victim of our...
It's a huge compliment, frankly.
We're going to be a victim of our own success if we do this correctly. And we hope that is more of the Tyler Davis, Danny Kerwin. The White Sox call me up and we say, we want this guy. But sometimes it is the Long Island Ducks or the Winnipeg Goldeyes who say, hey, we want this player. We think he'll be great for us. So James will join him up there. And James, I know, is also going to have some opportunities this offseason to throw in front of some big league scouts. So, the funny part about all this is with Cam, with James, I mean, some of them may never play for these teams. And their last indie ball stop will be with Oakland. So we certainly hope that is the case. Winnipeg or Sioux City might not. They might actually want them to play for them because they are good. But that's what happened to us our first year is we signed a bunch of players. Danny Kerwin was one of the players that we signed. We put out some of his video of him throwing 98 in a bullpen, and the Red Sox said, yes, please. So we want that same thing to happen with these guys. We know James brings the velo. We know James throws strikes. Those are things that you want, and he's going to do the north of the border.
Yeah, some huge moments for James Collier as an Oakland baller, a great Oakland baller. Again, a really good guy. We have very little time here, about 40 seconds. A question for Casey, will there be another Battle of the Bay? The Battle of the Bay 2.0 was extremely successful. Everybody had a great time except for Brian Carmel, our co-founder, who got a cake to the face when we lost that game, but we did have the tying run at the plate. It was competitive. I think everybody has an appetite to do it again. There's a lot of logistics, though, that have to take place before we can announce or guarantee that. We're also actively engaged in smack talk right now with the Dodgers single A affiliate who wants a piece of us. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I'd say it's very possible.
The Bees.
They want some. So maybe we could figure it out where we play this San Jose Giants and then we play the Dodgers affiliate as well, because they're actively in our comments going after us. So
should we have a Bees versus Bees? That would be pretty cool.
We should have a Bees versus Bees, and if we could schedule them both in the same time frame, it would make things a lot easier. All right, that is it for Bees Cast presented by Fieldwork. This has been another live edition with myself and assistant GM Tyler Petersen. Lots to talk about. There will be lots more as we do this every week. We're trying to do it every week, so always have your comments in. Always join us. Check it out, and you can obviously watch it on YouTube after the fact, too. You don't have to watch live. It's a great show no matter when you watch it, so thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Tyler, and we'll be back next week. Let's go, Ballers.